Wimbledon 2018 is over and there's been so much tennis, so many stories on the men's side, the ladies' side, the mixed doubles, the boys singles, the girls singles, and not forgetting wheelchair tennis as well. Here is a quick recap of days 11, 12 and 13. Hi everyone, Anne-Marie Batson here, sports presenter and reporter, bringing you daily recaps of Wimbledon 2018. But in fact, I need to say that Wimbledon 2018 is over, and the reason why I hadn't posted any videos is because I was away with the family at a family surprise party, and I couldn't exactly step away and go and film a video and bring you all the stories and all the news updates from Wimbledon, because that would have been a bit rude. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a recap over the last few days of Wimbledon, and of course I've been bringing you stories that you might have missed off the championships, because I fully appreciate you can get the scores off social media, or you can read them on the newspaper, or hear them on the radio, or read them on the news. I've been bringing you stories that not necessarily get reported. So here we go, the final few days of Wimbledon 2018. So I've got my notes ready because there's so much to talk about. Let's first of all talk about John Isner and Kevin Anderson, one of the longest matches in history at Wimbledon. It went down to 5 sets, and that 5th set ended up being 24-26 in the South Africans' favour. So Kevin Anderson was the one who was going through to the final, and it also brought up the question about 5th sets. Now, if you don't know and you're a casual tennis watcher, 5th sets go on and on and on in the men's game. There's no tie break, and as we've seen a few years ago with the same person, John Isner and Nicolas Mahut, they can go on for a very long time. And it was looking that way when Isner and Anderson were playing each other, but it finally ended when Anderson got it over the line at 24-26. And he did say in his post-match interview, it's now time to ask that question about 5th set tie breaks. Is it possible that when the players reach the 12th game of a 5th set, that it goes to a tie break? Because it's not fair on him as a player, because now he's not going to get enough rest time for the final. It's not fair for his opponent. And what about the umpire? The umpire can't change. They've been sitting there. I think the umpire had been sitting there for nearly 6 hours or so. Something for the councils to look at, or the various grand slams to look at, and I think they will, because I think people are starting to realise that 5th set tie breaks are the way forward. 5th sets are exciting. Best of 5s can be exciting, but when the games are going on and on and on, and you're not seeing a conclusion, people are going to lose interest. So hopefully the other slams will look at it, consider it, and maybe there'll be a rule change going forward. Now that the Kevin Anderson and John Isner match had been decided in terms of their semi-final, we then had the matchup. The matchup that was probably the biggest one on paper of all, Rafa Nadal versus Novak Djokovic. Novak Djokovic won, but this was a game to savour. Honestly, the quality of the tennis. These two players, along with Federer and with Andy Murray, and you could throw in Stan Wawrinka as well, know how to take it to that level. I mean, when you see people like Marin Cilic and Nick Kyrgios and Grigor Dimitrov, they play good tennis. At times they play great tennis. Those 4 gents I've just mentioned, and probably Stan Wawrinka as well, if you want to throw him in, take it up into the heavens. I mean, the quality was amazing, absolutely amazing. Every point was fought for, every point was wrestled for as well. You know, I can't even, there's not enough words to describe how amazing that match was. And you obviously know by now that Djokovic was the winner. Nadal managed to break him, managed to take a 3-love lead, but Djokovic in his mind was like, no thank you mate, I'm still coming back for more, and he did, and he was the eventual victor. And the interesting thing about this one is, I think a lot of people see Federer and Nadal as the greatest rivalry. I say that actually, yes, they are greatest rivals in terms of Grand Slams, but in terms of career and the ATP Tour, I would say that Djokovic and Nadal have the greatest rivalry too. When they both stepped onto the green grass of Southwest 19, I think the scores at the time between the two was 26 in Djokovic's favour to 25 to Nadal's, and it's now 27-25. You know, you can't separate these two. They both bring different things to the court. So Djokovic went through, back to his defiant best. he would have had a bit of a break, a tiny break as well, to come back to the final. But the other interesting point about this match, it was split over 2 days. Because the Anderson-Isner match overran, the fifth set tie-break going on for ages, it meant that Nadal and Djokovic only got a short period to play, and they had to finish the match by 11 o'clock because of curfew. So they came back the next day on ladies' finals day. Of course, before the ladies had the chance to do their final or play their final, you had to finish off the Djokovic-Nadal match. Now remember, I said that because of curfew, it meant the gents had to finish at 11 o'clock, which then started all these questions about, well, when are the men going to finish? It's ladies' finals day, and ladies' finals traditionally start at 2 p.m. Are the women going to start later? Are the men going to play after? The men were consulted. They were also consulted about if they wanted the roof open or closed. It ended up being closed to replicate the conditions of what the original match was played in, which would not favour Nadal because he doesn't like playing indoors, whereas Djokovic is a huge fan of it. Anyway, the ladies' final did not start until after 4 o'clock, and on the conclusion of the men's semi-final, with Djokovic being the victor, there was about a half an hour break before the ladies made their way to the court. And you probably know by now that Kerber was victorious. She won in straight sets, but there were two stories here. There were two winners here for sure. On the one side, you had Kerber, the German, who had a horrific 2017. When she became the world number one, she felt like it was a target on her back and her form just fell away. Versus the returning mother, the greatest player of all time, trying to achieve 24 Grand Slam titles, nearly died on the operating table after giving birth to her gorgeous daughter, wanted to come back out there and show mums that it is possible to achieve even more than what you had before. But it was the German who came through, like I said, in straight sets. And literally now Angie Kerber holds 3 of the Grand Slam titles: Wimbledon, the Australian, and the US Open. Angelique Kerber did not face one break point. Actually, no, tell a lie. She faced only one break point in that entire match, whereas Serena made a lot of errors. And this was going to be a real test for Serena, to be fair. Heading into the final, she had not faced a top 10 player. And even though Kerber was seeded 11th at this championship, she used to be a former number 1. So, you know, you could say it was going to be a really good battle. And it was. The defensive skills of Kerber are just immense. And she made Serena run backwards and forwards over the court, backwards and forwards. But then Serena had her powerful serve, regularly serving at about 120, 125 miles per hour. But like I said, as I look down at my notes, you know, Kerber knows how to anticipate now. She knew when Serena served where it was going to land and how to return that. And what she's done even more now is that she crouches down. If you ever get to see Kerber play, do, because I think she and Radwanska are the only two players who are able to hit the ball while literally crouching near to the ground. They must have the most amazing strength in their legs to pull that off. Amazing stuff from her. But you could see that Serena wanted to win, and in her post-match interview, her voice did start to crack when she mentioned how she wanted to win for all the mums out there. So let's see what the hard court is going to bring when everybody moves over to the next Grand Slam, which is the US Open. Kerber will move up the rankings, as will Serena as well. So in terms of the ladies' final, a good match all round. Ladies' finals are done. Men's finals to be sorted out, and we know who was going to meet each other on centre court. It was going to be Novak Djokovic versus Kevin Anderson, and I think pretty much everyone had decided in their minds that Novak Djokovic was going to be the victor of that particular championship match, even though Anderson has taken a set off Djokovic before and also led him 2 sets to love in a previous Grand Slam tournament. The fact is, Anderson, you know, having to play all those games in his semi-final, you know, and it wasn't the only one. He also played quite a few 5-setters in the championship. Tiredness and fatigue was going to play a part. But 4th title for Djokovic, he ended up winning it 6-2, 6-2, 7-6. And Djokovic just literally honed in on Anderson, made him run, made him make the returns. And you could see that Anderson was struggling with that. And I think it dented his confidence as the match went on. And Anderson started to lift a little bit in the 3rd set and could have taken it to a 4th set, because he did have set points on 2 or 3 occasions but couldn't convert in the end. So here's the thing. Federer's on 20 Grand Slam titles. Nadal's on 17. Djokovic is on 13. A fourth Wimbledon title for Djokovic. Could he catch Nadal in terms of Grand Slam titles? But I tell you who could catch each other. I think Nadal, because remember Nadal's only in his early 30s, could catch Federer. I think Nadal will win another French Open. I think he'll always continue winning French Opens unless Dominic Thiem steps up to the plate. And I think he's the one that could catch Federer up. I'd like to think Djokovic would give it a good shot because he's definitely back to his best. Defiant, aggressive, his athleticism there. You know, he reaches every point. He anticipates every serve. He's like a brick wall. One of the best defenders on the court. One of the best returners on the court as well. I don't see how anybody could get by him. Whether he could catch up Nadal, though, in terms of Grand Slam titles, I couldn't tell you. But, you know, third year in a row for a men's final where it's been literally straight sets. And the irony is, it was 10 years ago where you had that classic final back in 2008 between Federer and Nadal won that one in 5 sets, and that was one of the greatest men's finals ever. Will we see that again? Who knows? But I'll tell you this, the Australian Open was won by Roger Federer. The French Open this year was won by Rafa Nadal, and Wimbledon has now got Novak Djokovic. Does that mean Andy Murray could win the US Open? We also had the mixed doubles final as well, with Jamie Murray pairing up with Victoria Azarenka. Unfortunately, they couldn't get it over the line and ended up being the runners up. But I'm hopeful that these two could work together actually for the US Open, because I think they're a fantastic pairing, and Azarenka has doubles breeding within her. She's won a gold medal, she's won other titles as a doubles player. So I think those two would be a fantastic matchup if and when they go forward for the US Open. Also, got to say, you've got the wheelchair doubles in the men's. We were successful at that. We got it over the line with Gordon Reed and Alfie Hewitt, and also young Jack Draper, who was taking part in his first boys singles title. Couldn't get it over the line. He was beaten by the player from Chinese Taipei, but fantastic for Jack Draper. He's 16 and he's full of the swagger already. An exciting prospect, but I'm not going to get too excited about him because I remember the days of Laura Robson when she won the girls' title. Where is Laura Robson now? What have been my highlights of Wimbledon 2018 as it draws to a close? What to say. I think the debate about from fifth set tie breaks, I think the debate needs to be had, and I think all 4 of the Grand Slams need to come together and come to an agreement. On the men's side, when it goes to 5 sets, there has to be a tie break. If you want to start encouraging more people to watch the game, do that for sure. I'm a big believer in 5-setters. I think we need to have them. One of my favourite matches of the tournament, which is another takeaway for me, was Nadal versus Juan Martín del Potro. That went to 5 sets. That was one of the best matches ever. To get rid of 5 sets, we'd lose that. We would lose that. And credit to Nadal and del Potro actually, because it was in the same time that England were playing Croatia in their World Cup semi-final, and centre court was absolutely packed. So that match is definitely my favourite match of the whole tournament. Another one of my stories I would definitely say over the fortnight was about the top 10 seeds. Every single one of the top 10 seeds went out. What does that mean? The depth is there. Nobody can argue about the fact that there's no depth in women's tennis, because it is. And I love watching women's tennis. And I think we've lived in the shadows for far too long now with the big 4. And we're now starting to see little rivalry starting to grow and women stepping up to the plate, which is fantastic. And we're getting a light shine on us in terms of our game. But when every single of the top 10 seeds collapse, there's got to be questions like, what on earth happened? Is the depth there? Is the talent there? Yes. And hopefully Angie Kerber can go on and build on her win after Wimbledon 2018. Another story, aside from the fact about the top 10 seeds on the ladies' side all going out pretty much in the first week, the second week for the men's didn't really get going until then. And it's fair to say that, it was fantastic to see Carl Edmund go really deep into the tournament. His match against Djokovic, one of the best I've seen in terms of Carl Edmund play. So congratulations to him. The man that really lifted things up in the second week is Rafael Nadal, for sure. His match against Del Potro, where England were playing Croatia at the World Cup finals, and yet managed to keep everybody on centre court watching two masters at work, quite frankly, and both of them could have been winners that day, is amazing. And somehow Rafa Nadal, when he goes to 5 sets, he just knows how to bring it. Last year when he played Gilles Muller, even though he went out early, that 5th set was absolutely amazing. Ended up 11-13, I think it was. So Rafa Nadal definitely lifted the men's tournament in the second week. Let's see what he can do at the US Open. I have to say, with Wimbledon this year, it's been a massive buzz around the tournament, and I don't know if it's because of the warm weather. We've been having temperatures about 26, 28, 29, hardly any rain. There was one brief rain shower over the whole of the 14 days, and that was it, which is really unusual for us because with Wimbledon, there's always a rain shower, but nothing, barely anything this year. I think the fact the World Cup was on at the same time has also been a massive factor, particularly because England were doing so well in that tournament. I think it created a good feeling, a good buzz as well. And I know that there was a lot of discussion about the fact, the World Cup's on at the same time, it's going to take people away. The one thing I kept saying is, people have access to mobile phones now, they have tablets, they have multiple televisions in their homes, they've got radios. So when the World Cup final was on the last day, and the men's championship final was also of course on the last day, people just keep across the two fairly easily, and I think it's really worked, and I think people have enjoyed it. Proper sports fans would have enjoyed the fortnight for sure. Wimbledon's over for another year. 2018 is done, it's dusted. Can I say it's been one of my favourite tournaments of the year? I love Wimbledon anyway, so it's always a favourite of mine. But hey, tennis is not stopping because Wimbledon is over. There's Toronto, there's Cincinnati, and of course you've got the US Open, the final Grand Slam of the year, beginning soon at the end of August. So my plan is to still keep bringing you stories you might have missed, stories within stories, but not just for tennis. I'll be looking at football and other sports as well. You've got the Premier League starting in about a month's time. The FA Women's Super League will be starting soon. So I'll be bringing you lots of content, lots of sport to keep you all updated. If you like what you see, please hit the like button underneath. Please leave me a comment as well, and I will see you guys soon.